Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Cheesadelphia 2. I am Drenok, joined by the amazing, illustrious Fear Dragon. How are you doing, Fear Dragon?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. We're getting really close to that grand finals, even the losers finals. Everything is coming to a close very slowly, and we are seeing one game at a time at this point. Drenok, I'm pretty excited. We're in TVT heaven right now.
Oh yeah, we are in TVT heaven, and the winner of this best of three is going to move on to face Kelazor, so there's even more TVT coming up to the final TVP against Huck, which will still be a while, but right now we are in Intense versus Epic, and you got a lot of information on Epic. I know you're talking about him beforehand. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, Epic is this really cool story, just because he has sort of come out of nowhere. If you look at his recent results, he hasn't really gotten massive results, but more recently, in this tournament, he's actually beaten some really key big players. And the other thing is, if you talk to a lot of players, so many of them just said, Epic is this player that has been doing so well on the ladder. He's been doing that grind, and he has been working very hard. So this is a really cool thing to see, that he's finally starting to get these big results against actually some pretty well-known players like Jon Snow.
2-0ing Jon Snow, which is one of the favorites to win, too, in this tournament.
Absolutely.
But here we are, loaded in on Ruins of Ceres for Game 1 of this best of three.
All right, well, we're going to be starting over here in the top left-hand corner of the map on Ruins of Ceres. We have the blue Terran player. Give it up for MYI's Intense.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, it is the red Terran player from Deadly Gaming, the one, the only, it is Epic.
You know, a lot of people might not know very much about Deadly Game. They've been a team that's been around for a while. They've had a lot of these kind of more up-and-coming talent, and the players, Hugh Shang comes to mind, as well as a couple others. But they are actually a pretty cool team, and they're very tight-knit together. So really cool to see. I think it was something Joe was saying, just this nice mix. We have the MYI players, we have the Psystorm Gaming, Flipside Tactics, Evil Geniuses, all the different players.
All the cool North American teams, period. All the North American teams are cool right here. So we've got a lot of North American teams and cheering each other on. It's a really great atmosphere here at the second Cheesadelphia. To start off this game, it looks like both players are opening up with a pretty normal Reaper fast span. I love it at 1 minute 15. Like, oh yeah, good luck. Oh yeah, I should probably say good luck and fun.
Good luck. I don't want to seem too BM right now. Of course, Intense saying that he feels really confident. TVT is definitely his best matchup. And really, he has that TVT road to the grand finals. Both of the players do.
And then he's got a TVP after that if he can make it versus Huck. But already, he was able to win versus EJK in a pretty convincing manner. But he was telling me between games, you know, he's been a little bit sloppy. He's not sure about his control and mechanics because of some time he's taken off.
Absolutely. And he was actually following up and saying, you know, not only is it like that idea that his weakness is the mechanics and the execution, but he feels like his game knowledge, his decision-making is on point. So it's really going to be about trying to outplay Epic in the decision-making game, whereas I think Epic has that big ladder grind. He's been playing a ton lately. He's going to have the better mechanics and may struggle a little bit more, you know, playing on the stage and everything, playing at this live LAN event and not necessarily...
It's nerve-wracking when you're up there, man.
So that's going to be the big concern, but we already see a slight deviation with the build.
Yeah, we have that decision-making, as you're saying, coming in already. Epic with a very quick natural while Intense. He's being aggressive as he's normally been in a lot of these games. Not quite as some players like Kelazor, but here's his first Reaper heading across. He needs to scout out where Epic is to be able to punish this, but let's think about it. Even if he could punish it, is there anything on the other side not push it back? Yes, Epic is playing the defensive, very skilled, very long-time site of Terran where, you know, I know the defensive is best. He's got a Reaper, he's got 2 Marines in his natural.
Very interesting that Epic didn't decide to send that Reaper out across the map, because we ended up seeing, as you were saying, like this Reaper is just sitting at home, and the SCV got picked off by Intense's Reaper. So really, Epic has not seen almost anything, and this is a matchup where Intense has really said and emphasized this. He feels like one of the things he's very good at, especially in TVT, is getting map control and maintaining vision. So if he's able to do that,
Epic just goes straight by Intense. Intense gets a couple preliminary shots off. Epic should be fine with these Marines.
Yeah, but again, it's all about that vision, that knowledge of what your opponent's up to, and Epic is very much in the dark. He's not going to know that Intense is putting on this heavy amount of aggression right now.
And Epic's got to be feeling okay. Generally, when you have the defensive Reaper or Reaper Fast Expand, the Reaper of your opponent jumps up into your main. You've already shot it twice, and it's just shot down. But right here, that is not the situation. This is no normal Terran right here. Intense, 3 Reapers. He's also got 2 Hellions, and now the Reapers are jumping up into the main to be greeted by nothing at all. Ooh, they hit their own KDA chart. There's a little bit of a miscontrol from Intense. SCVs and Mules, kind of funnily, are pulled to deal with this, and looks like Epic is able to kill 1 Reaper, but now Intense, he's just all right on top. This is a siege tank, but 3 Hellions, 2 Reapers, 3 Reapers, they're going to be getting damage done.
Yeah, they're already killing a couple of workers. Oh, the siege, I have not seen a siege tank go flying for the Reaper grenades in quite a while, and actually Hellions and Reapers killing off the siege tank. These are great pickoffs over here for Intense. The SCVs are lining up against the Hellions. Oh, you got to be so careful about this right now, Epic.
2 Marines will pop, and this may be the prime opportunity for Epic to have the defense. It looks like the SCVs are going to be with a beautiful supply depot up, gonna get him trapped in. They're going to get the false around, but at what cost? And a Liberator! There's 2 Marines, 1 Marine, but it's not going to quite be there in time.
But
so much mining time is lost.
Exactly. And we end up seeing relatively even worker counts, but at the same time, Intense has been throwing down that expansion behind all this. It's going to be finishing up soon and just delaying this mining even further. Intense is going to be able
He needs to be mining gas. He needs some gas to get a Viking. He's got to be careful.
Absolutely. He's getting down a couple of these Marines, but this is going to still be a very difficult situation to pick off that Liberator with just purely Marines.
He can go down to his natural. It's like, yes, he's defend. Yeah, you haven't taken too much damage, but what, 3 Reapers, 3 Hellions? Maybe worth a base-ish. Not that much. Right here, Intense has forced Epic to be starved out a little while, and hey, maybe you don't need that control when you can just get an early lead like that and hold it.
Absolutely, and we end up seeing that this game may transition out to the later stages. Still a little bit unfortunate that, of course, Epic is having a little bit of a struggle mining from his main base, but it is starting to stabilize out. We're starting to see relatively even workers on both sides. Slight supply lead for Intense, though.
Very slight supply, just by a little bit, and that could be the SCVs that Epic has lost. He's lost a total of 7 here so far. Looks like, ooh, Intense moves out on this right-hand side at the same time as a siege tank coming through the middle. And does he have any idea? It doesn't look like he has any idea. This may be Epic's opportunity.
Yeah, this could get a little bit of damage done.
Oh, and a Viking's ready, too.
Ooh, this is going to be very interesting. Right now, Intense is leading up on that siege tank count 3-1. Slightly behind in the Marines, not a huge deal. It is 8-11 in favor of Epic, but here we go. Siege tank coming in. The very cute position, just saying, I got you, bro. Don't worry. Just trust me on this. I'm one of your allies.
Oh, man. Intense gets right up on top of that, forces out, but at the same time, Intense has his attack in the bottom right-hand corner. He's had great multi-pronged attacks so far in this tournament. SCVs are pulled, but they're doing nothing about the siege tank. The siege tank is getting so much damage done. The SCVs are actually targeting a Marine, and the Marine was the bait. The Marine said, I'll do it. I volunteer, sir. I'll get out there, and the siege tank did the damage, and now he's going to be able to kite for a while. But 10 workers more killed. 17 have been killed in total. Intense is just taking all these little leads early, like, okay, I'm just going to cherry pick a kill here, get a kill here, and cool. That's my masterpiece.
It is working out great right now for Intense. Epic trying to do some of that counter damage with this siege tank of his own with the medevac. Might be able to kill off a couple of workers over here, and that would definitely be good, but Epic still needs to make a lot more happen. And the SCV, the citizens arresting that siege tank, actually get it very low on health.
Forces it out. Intense does have a nice defense, and now that we're at the 7-minute mark, we're really looking at, okay, third base is what's coming up with that. So far, not a third CC for either. They're waiting for their upgrades to finish in. You have a little bit quicker upgrades for Intense right here, but there's the third CC, and it often comes down to, can you deny your opponents? How is that fight going down? You can see right off the bat, there's no upgrades at all.
Yeah, no upgrades really finished up just yet. +1 weapons is going to be finishing up for Intense pretty soon, though, and I don't see +1 weapons starting up for Epic just yet. He just finished up his engineer, but he's going to be so far behind on that.
So starved from that very early game. It's the growth of yourself as a Terran. It's very exponential, and if it's stunted in the early game, it's not that you're maybe a couple seconds behind. It's that you're a minute, and now it's going to keep growing over time unless you're able to get control and do some damage, shut down Intense as Epic.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Intense is going to try to look to capitalize on the fact that his stim is going to be finishing up. His +1 weapons is finished up much earlier, and he even has a small little supply lead. So if he can put on this aggression...
Can I get it? Ooh! Picks it up in the middle of the map, and then just is going to go on back home. I love that Epic's like, okay, maybe I can get something from this. And then Intense like, nope.
Yeah, but just seizing that map control, I think if Intense just continues that aggression, keeps Epic at home, he's going to be in a great spot. Again, TVT is a matchup all about vision. It's all about knowledge and knowing where your opponent is. A lot of people say, TVT is so volatile because of how the tank evacs end up working, where you just end up losing your army so quickly. It's all about the repositioning and everything. But you can stabilize and deal with that if you have vision and knowledge of where your opponent is and what they're doing with their army.
Intense is moving out. I do not believe that Epic knows about this, but he's going to need to make a desperate hold at, I believe, well, he's not going to make a desperate hold at his third base. No third CC on the way for him. There was a third CC for Intense, but even with that third CC, that's not putting Intense behind. He's actually got a Siege Tank lead, a Marine lead, and an overall supply lead. It's all going to come down to, as you were saying, the Siege Tank positions, how they're here. It's pretty volatile.
Yeah, +1 weapons again is finished up for Intense, but not for Epic. It's still a little bit ways away. Intense is moving on in. I don't know.
I love this use of the tower right there.
Ooh, this is really, really dangerous right now. Epic is backing up to a slightly better defensive position, going to be protecting a natural expansion. But of course, Intense, you have to remember, behind all this, he's establishing a third expansion. He's using this pressure to keep his natural and third expansion safe.
Epic has decided, you know what, I have to do the two-base play, but Intense is simply not allowing him onto his own territory. He's keeping Epic back at his and may even be able to starve him out.
Nice scan coming down from Intense as he's just keeping an eye on where the army is. His Siege Tank's a little bit vulnerable, but he has the Medivacs already there to pick it up at a moment's notice just to make sure that he can keep him alive. But again, just putting that pressure, exerting that force on Epic, and just slowly crawling ahead further behind.
Cranking it up.
This is beautiful play out of Intense.
Intense is doing a magnificent job. I actually was talking to Intense between the games, talking to him about getting a fusion core, and he's like, yeah, I like going battle cruiser late game TVT, and I'm like, ooh, maybe that's his point with the lead. You know, I'm just going to go battle cruiser, whatever. But Epic realizes, you know what, he can't get out of this space. He can't go for the two base. He's making his third CC to reinforce and fall back onto. But Intense, as you were saying even earlier, the supply lead, he just had a very clear lead. In every TVT we've seen him in, he's had that lead.
It's that really good decision-making again and continuing to do a good job. There is a scan from Epic. He knows exactly where the army of Intense is, and he's starting to do a bit of a wraparound. He's going to be able to catch a couple of Siege Tanks. There's no Medivacs over here. Epic doesn't go for the stim-in, though. I was really anticipating him doing that.
I was, too. He's going to be able to snipe something, but it's actually going to let the Siege Tanks to provide an even better backbone for Intense. Intense gets right on top of Epic, and he's not protecting his Siege Tanks. Intense has to fall back, but he has the Siege Tank lead. It is currently 10 Siege Tanks of Intense to 6, but
this is a dangerous place, though. Intense is actually going to be sandwiched. A full surround comes in right now. Intense is going to have his army completely slaughtered. There's no escape. The Medivacs are going to get picked up, and suddenly Epic turns this entire engagement in this game on his shoulder.
A great move from Epic, and that's exactly what he needs, but at the same time, there's a huge Doom Drop in the main, and the CC is gone. The Siege Tanks are there, and they've already acquired their toehold, their foothold into the main base. Desperately, Epic tries to get up there, but he doesn't boost up with the Medivacs. His Siege Tank had to siege, and the bio of Intense is taking a beautiful engagement. This is chaos all over the map for both these players.
But Intense is definitely getting the better end of this right now. He's sitting up 70 supply, double the supply right now of Epic. Epic has lost so much production. He's having to remake his factory. Do you know how important that is in this game right now, Drena?
Especially with upgrades coming on in. You have, at least for Intense, he's getting his vehicle upgrades, and I believe we have not a fusion core. We have a... Let me see down here. Armory. We do have that armory right there to get the upgrade still for Epic. But for now, Epic is kind of had to fall back, and he's got everything ready. But where do I execute? Like, can I execute this anywhere? Can I actually get damage done?
That's going to be a really big problem right now. Intense has moved across the map again with another little force as it's starting to make its way further and further south. And that's going to make it hard for Epic to ever try and do any move-outs. He does move in, clean up some of these forces for Intense, or tries to, but...
Siege Tank's very low on health for Epic. At the same time, another army from Intense, and while all this has been going down, Intense has had almost double, very close to double the income of Epic. Epic is forced to bring up his third CC to fall back, and he can fall back onto lots of Siege Tank, but the Siege Tanks are unaccompanied by Marines. They don't have that extra AoE, and literally Intense just runs on top of them, but at the same time, Intense is losing these Siege Tank. This is a cutthroat TVT for your Dragon.
It really is, but again, I have to emphasize, I really do think that Intense is getting the better end of this. Not only is he moving up to the high ground, being so annoying, he's denying mining from that third expansion. There's nothing mining in the main base. GG! Intense taking game number 1.
And I don't think Intense was expecting to do that. He was telling me, man, he's like, as I said, the mechanics. And that's what happens every time I cast Intense. Says, I haven't played in the past few weeks. I haven't played too many games. Then he just kind of comes out and is like, I just got lucky or whatever. Like, no, he's got the skills. He's playing very well in that game.
You know, Intense is always a very, very funny player because he's such a strong player, despite the fact that, again, for those who don't know, he hasn't really been playing that much lately. In fact, he's been a little bit on the CSGO train lately, but he is a player that his biggest struggle is not necessarily who he's playing against, it's about his own struggle against his internal self, his mentality.
It's the internal struggle.
And the internal struggle, man. But he always when he puts a lot of pressure on himself, if he's been practicing a lot, he feels that pressure and he ends up caving. And a lot of players feel that way, but Intense especially. And in this situation where he hasn't been playing a lot, he doesn't feel that stress and he doesn't have that high expectation.
Let's have some fun, man.
Yeah.
He's flown out by my insanity, so he's just having a good time playing for his team, playing some StarCraft, and hanging out with some StarCraft guys.
Absolutely, and I'm loving to see how well Intense is doing now. Epic struggled a little bit, but he's shown some seriously strong play in some of the other matches that we've seen here today in Cheesadelphia. So I'm hoping for the comeback. He's been working very hard. It's actually, he's kind of two polar opposites in where they're at right now. Epic has been this up-and-coming player that's looking to kind of make a name for himself right now. Intense has made a bit of a name for himself and is a little bit more on the laid-back side. So
yeah, just have some fun, play some StarCraft. That's Intense.
Yeah, and Epic is on the other end of it where he's just working really hard. He's like, I need to show people how hard I've been working. I need to show people how good of a player I am.
Definitely, and it's really cool when Epic first came in and was saying, "Oh, I heard someone say Epic," and I was like, "Oh, that's Epic."
Yeah.
No way. And I know it came up to him like, "Oh, hey, Epic, what's up, man? How you been doing?" And it's really that situation was like, "Oh, that's Epic.
That's Epic.
That's Epic."
Yeah, I hope people will start to at least get to know Epic a little bit more, even if he ends up losing this next game versus Intense and does go out. Of course, we're not going there yet.
We're not going there yet. I'm feeling it for Epic.
Still got some time, of course. And the winner of this is going to go on to face Kelazor in the losers final. So this is, I'm telling you, I've been watching Kelazor. I know he's been playing his mobile phone games. Yeah, I'm watching you, Diego. I see you playing your mobile phone games, of course. But he is paying attention to all these TVTs. So this is going to make it a little bit extra hard. The winner of this has to go on and face someone who's been watching all of these TVTs going on. It's going to be pretty intense. It's, or it could be very epic. But it's going to be a very, very difficult road.
In the winner's bracket, or a little bit earlier on in the winner's bracket, I was saying, you know what, we need Intense versus Epic, because it's just the punniest place to be. No. Here we go. In Orbital Shipyard, the bottom left-hand corner, representing my insanity, the Blue Terran player, it is Intense. Up 1-0 in this best of 3.
And up here in the top right-hand corner, show some love to these guys. I want to hear some applauses in the chat, or not in the chat, but
in the chat, yeah, man.
In the chat, I want to see
virtual applauses.
The virtual applauses. I want to hear the live applauses. Up here in the top right-hand corner, we have from Deadly Gaming, the Red Terran player. Give it up for Epic.
I feel like in Twitch chat, there's definitely a little emote of a guy like clapping his hands. That's what I'm thinking
There
of right
is.
now.
It's
There
a
is one,
HTC, Base Trade TV emote. It's
yes,
Tasia Clap.
Yes, Tasia, yeah, that's exactly
Clap.
it. It is Tasia Clap right there.
All right, well, Orbital Shipyard, man, I'm pretty interested to see how this game is going to go. There are, certain maps do lead to certain types of play and everything. We already see a small little deviation. I think we have, is that a second gas geyser? No, the still first gas geyser going down for Intense.
Both these players are opening up with the standard Reaper Fast expand, at least for now, and it's kind of funny after seeing Epic for so long be like, I'm going to go 2 racks. Not a Reaper, just 2 racks and see what happens, and play it normally. So this is the normal TVT as opposed to the EJK TVT bio play. Both players are scouting each other. Intense is just a little bit quicker, and it's going to be able to get in and see no racks at the wall. Epic not even going to bother to even try to start walling off.
No, not worried at all. But I want to ask you a little bit about that last game, because we talked a lot about how Intense was doing a lot of aggression, putting on the pressure, really making Epic feel that pressure, and like he couldn't move across the map. And whatever the few little bits of time actually that you think about, when was Epic on Intense's side of the map? It was pretty much just that. It was that one medevac, that tank-evac drop that he tried to do, and that was minor amounts of harassment, right? Intense has always been the one putting on the aggression. So what would you like to see out of Epic in this next game?
Well, as you're saying, with Epic putting on aggression, this is a much smaller map than Ruins of Ceres. Far smaller. And I would not be surprised if he could do a tank evac, but because of the nature of the main being on a different level of the natural being on a different level, actually, natural and third on the same level, but either way, there is deviation, there's change in the levels, and you could throw down a siege tank and just find a nice position to start sieging up and doing damage and leave it there for a while. We'll have to see. Really, for Epic, he's just got to not take the early losses. Last game, lost so many SCVs early, and Intense has been aggressive all through this tournament, and he's just taking these really nice build order leads early on in the games. Like, oh, well, you're down by 10 workers. Cool, I'm going to play the rest of the game like that. And he's done that every single game.
Yeah, I think that this game is, and this entire series is really going to come down to Epic's ability to either defend or find a way to put on that counter pressure and keep Intense on the defensive. Because if you allow Intense to get that map control, or in any TVT, if you allow your opponent to have and maintain that map control, that is where things start to spiral out of control.
Right now, ladies and gentlemen, you have to remember it is 1-0 in Cheesadelphia, or in this best of 3 happening right now. And so first I think maybe Intense thinks Epic is going to be like really aggressive, cheesy, something like that, because we have Intense on the defensive in the bottom left, being far more defensive than we normally have seen him. He's sending out his first Reaper to Epic, which Epic's also being defensive. They're both like, okay, you know what? First game was crazy. Epic's going to be defensive like he always is. And then Intense is switching up his style, and this may not be the biggest difference, but it may be an angle of opportunity for Epic.
Yeah, and Epic is going to be seizing up that opportunity pretty soon as the Banshees are coming out with Cloak. Natural Expansion coming down much later. Intense, moving in with a Reaper. What is he going to be able to find?
Careful. He needs to stop this. That is Epic. Epic has Marines on the high ground, and they're ready. And there's the snipe, isn't there? Ooh, there is the snipe, but did the Reaper see it? Let me check that out. Looks like the Reaper did not see the tech lab, saw the starport, and saw the early 2 gas.
I don't know. He didn't actually see the second gas geyser for Epic, so he might not know. I don't think that he's going to have enough information to really make the judgment call. He still is getting that engineering bay, but there is the
there it is. He knows something's funky. He's, ooh, where's your third CC? What's going on with this?
Yeah, TVT, a game about knowledge, and knowing what your opponent's up to is so important. And by throwing down that scan, he's going to know, okay, look, I got to get the missile turrets. He's already thrown down those missile turrets. He's going to the safety cyclone.
And I love that, the safety cyclone, that really is what it was in the beginning of TVT. Like, okay, where's the cyclone fit in? Well, it can kill air, you can scan, you can follow air when it gets out of vision, and it's phenomenal for that. The Banshee starts killing some of the SCVs, but they are in time to heal the missile turret, and for now, Intense is looking good. He's got to be super careful. He just needs that Banshee to finish off its cloak to catch it, but there is the scan, but will the scan be enough vision to actually get the Banshee? It looks like barely it is enough, and now, for the first time in this series, it's kind of like, okay, well, he's a little bit of lull.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a lull, but of course we end up seeing Intense is not okay with that. He says, no, I finally seized a little bit of map control. Time for me to put on that counter aggression. You have to remember, Epic ended up throwing down that natural command center a little bit later because he was going up for this very fast Banshee tech, and by not really getting a lot of damage done with it, he is now falling a little bit further behind, I would say. You can even see that reflected in the worker count, 33 to 40 SCVs, and now with this drop coming across the map for Intense, at the same time Epic is moving across the map. Oh, this could be a very dangerous situation for Epic.
Intense moving on in to the natural base of Epic, and what does Epic have at home to defend? He's got 6-7 Marines. He's got Marines and nothing else. The drop of Intense is in Epic's natural mineral line. The SCVs have been moved, and at this point, Epic's saying, okay, where do I micro? Do you micro at home, or do you micro the attack on the other side of the map?
Oh, look at this. Intense. He's baiting that Widowmine shot, only sacrifices a single Marine, and of course, we end up seeing Epic unloading over here on the main base. There's Cyclones. The Marines are here. There's a single siege tank as well. Intense may have enough to clean this up. He's going to lose a couple of workers. Both sides are losing quite a few workers, actually.
The SCVs are going after the Marines right there. They'll finally go for the siege tank. They didn't want to do the siege tank. They're ordered to be like, no, man, we're not going for the siege tank.
Epic has to back out. He does kill 12 workers and definitely evens up that worker count. At the same time, the Widowmine in the natural expansion does get scanned. I believe, yes, Epic is able to clean it up.
Still, though, now we're at the 6-minute mark. It was a 7-minute mark last game, but they both start to think, okay, about that 7:15 to 7:30, what do we do next? And in the series, it's been cutthroat back and forth. It's been all our TVTs. They're very even in pretty much all the manners, especially with upgrades, too.
Yeah, but one thing I would say that Intense really invested quite a few of his siege tank, a lot of his core army units into that fight, and he ended up losing most of them. So you can see now that Epic has this nice little lead in the siege tank count, which is, again, so important in TVT. The siege tank count is so telling about how a lot of those big engagements can go. Of course, there are many other factors, the positioning and everything, but if Epic can edge out this lead, if he can take advantage of this lead, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him.
Definitely. And right here for Intense with this Viking, this is one of the first times he's at air control. He can actually push the siege tank back on the left-hand side. That's kind of been Epic's go-to of, ooh, crap, I need to get damage done. Let's send a siege tank. Some people's Liberator, some people's Widowmine drop, etc. But now we have a drop on the right-hand side of Intense. Pardon me, actually, it's going to be pulling back from the earlier attack. It was hanging out while another drop moves out.
Trading them out, man, one at a time. This one's empty.
They give like a high five as they go by. It's like a tag team. Like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, what happened to your Marines?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I'll get the promotion. It's okay. You'll get some good stuff, too.
All right, well, we do have 3rd CC coming down from Intense. He actually was the first one to throw down 3rd CC in the last game as well. It just really does favor that sort of macro-oriented style. Intense has always been...
The train push. Or not even the train push, but make an army back at home while I'm fighting, and then I'm just going to fall back in another army. Fall back in another fully supplied, fully rounded out army.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see, not too long ago, Intense had that worker count evened up due to the harassment that Epic ended up doing. We already end up seeing Intense's back up 50 workers to 45. He's found another way to get that lead back. And once again, just kind of showing us how good his macro is. You can see Epic not really making workers right now. Is missing out on some of those SCVs.
He's stopped making workers. He is pushing. There is a third CC up on the way behind at his base for Epic, but Intense gets the most remarkable scan straight on top of Epic's army. He knows exactly what's going on. For a moment, I thought he'd be out of position, but no way. He is not that. He is in a good position in his third base, and where does Epic go? He can't pick up everything and go to the natural. He can only go by land.
Yeah, whatever happened to that medevac drop that Intense ended up setting up? It's still just sitting there waiting for an opportunity. Actually, as soon as Epic tries to push in, I would not be surprised if this drop moves on in. He starts to move in. He's going to actually potentially be able to snipe off the engineering bay, too.
Perfectly timed out for Intense. He scans, he sees the army of Epic, and, well, you're not at home to defend. Here is the snipe. It looks like he may be able to in the top right. That engineering bay is being focused down. +1, that's going to go down, and that's going to be huge, especially because Intense has +1 already.
No, he saves it!
Oh,
2 seconds away and burning down. He managed to get the repair off.
Intense does not have combat shields right now.
Oh.
Intense has been playing this entire fight without combat shields, and Epic with +2, I think, was that +1? That was +1 attack, finishing not quite armor, but right now, Intense.
Drenok,
man.
That is an enormous mistake. That is absolutely an oversight from Intense, and that actually might go back to some things we were saying, you know, the mechanics and everything. Sometimes you make these mistakes that you don't normally make.
There it is on the way right there in the production. He's also got a sensor tower on the way. He's starting to get a little bit wary of, maybe I've cut a little too many corners. I have to be very careful about how I go about this. But Intense, he was able to secure his third CC amongst all of that, while Epic completely pulled back. Epic's got a third CC, but as you said numerous times, Intense had this nice little SCV lead through the majority of the game.
Nice little SCV lead. Of course, also has, you know, fairly comparable armies, and both these players moving out into the center of the map. Both of them going to get ready to engage each other. Scans going down for both sides. It's a bit of a standoff. Neither one can engage the other, but remember, Combat Shields is not finished up for Intense just yet.
This is one of the first fights for Epic where he has actually been up by 2 siege tanks, and he may be able to take some engagement right here. This could be the dream engagement. The Marines of Intense accidentally step a little bit over the lines of battle. Are going to have to fall back. Once those lines are drawn, you can't step over the siege tank lines and get hit by that.
Siege tank lines are very dangerous lines to cross. Combat Shields is going to be finishing up for Intense, and he is finally going to be at least on a little bit more even ground, especially with the +1 armor going to be finishing up for him soon. And we may end up seeing a sort of weird positioning trade over here. Intense is moving out. He's a little bit further behind, but Epic is maybe looking to do a little bit of damage to those sensor towers, though, Drenok.
Those sensor towers are rough. It's so hard to attack Intense in this position, and Epic does have some gas banked up, but for the majority of the game, he was trying to pick up. There's a drop in the natural base for Epic, looking pretty darn good, or actually, yeah, in Epic's natural base, and getting some damage to the bunker up at the same time. Intense hits the third base, but at the same time, Epic is hitting the third base of Intense.
Oh, man. It's aggression on all sides, but I would say Epic has a bigger army with his stuff, and we end up seeing, Intense boosting on into the main base. It is a base trade, ladies and gentlemen. Intense is leading up in supply right now, but it's all SCV supply.
It is a base trade, but right now, Epic, he actually has, technically, he's up 1 base. He's got that third CC down. It was a little bit later, while I don't believe Intense has his third CC. It's floating in the air up in the bottom left, but for now, Intense has got a great foothold into Epic's main base. On the other side of the map, Epic is trying to focus that down. He knows if he can get that, maybe he can just take a little bit of a lead. Currently, right now, Intense is still up in pretty much every small manner of worker and unit.
There's the lift up from both players. They are just trying to float everything away and saying, "Oh God, this is happening now."
I think the big question is, who is the Viking? Intense as the Viking.
Intense as
the only Viking. The only Viking right there. That Viking paw is going to be charged like, yep, we got like 3 CCs in the air, man.
That Viking's floating just down to the right hand side.
We'll know when he accidentally selects all army. That's when we know he selects all army, when he's like, I guess right there.
Messing up some of those mechanics, Intense, relying on that select all army hotkey, but for now, we end up seeing that both of these players have lost most of their SCVs. In fact, Epic has lost every SCV. He still has the orbital command alive. He has 2 orbital commands.
Intense has 2 SCVs left, but I don't know if he wants to do that. You're saying he's got 2 orbital commands. What are our buildings like? We have 2 orbital commands for Epic, 6 supply depots. While Intense, he's just got a multitude of random buildings, and it's going to take a while for Epic to get rid of them. Intense, really all he's got to do right here is got a top left, top right, but it's so smart by Epic. He's saying, you know what? You got to commit to one direction. Either top left or top right, and I'll defend the other and be on the other to make this base trade go for a longer time.
Yeah, you know, I really do like the fact that Epic has the siege tank count lead and also has a decent number of medevacs, almost 1 medevac per siege tank. we do end up seeing actually Intense getting a little bit supply blocked over here. That's going to be a bit of a problem. The Intense Viking.
Oh man, the Siege Tanks getting so close. The Tankovacs of Epic are flying out in the front of the army. Intense is able to take a nice engagement. Oh, this is a scary engagement. The Marines cannot run up that ramp. However, Intense snipes one of the Siege Tanks of Epic. Epic has to fall back, and now Epic's got his back to the wall in the bottom left, and right now Intense has got enough buildings out of the map. He does not need to really worry about them even being sniped off in any situation.
That was a huge deal right there, because you have to realize that Epic just lost one of his big advantages, the Siege Tank count lead. He's now sitting 5 to 4 Siege Tanks. Intense has the lead. He knows about the expansions and everything that were taken because he had that Viking floating around.
And while all this happens in the top right, Intense still has a couple Marines speckled around just to get the damage done, start working on those supply depots. He knows he needs his entire army to deal with Epic. Intense at 72 army supplied to Epic's 40. Looks like this is the standoff. They're both got their hands on their guns. They're ready to draw.
But we see that there is a drop over on the right-hand side of the map. Epic trying to move down this ramp. I actually feel like he's a little bit contained over here, as he knows he has to go out and start doing some damage, but Intense has this kind of weird contain on the army of Epic, because he knows, hey, Epic, you don't actually have enough medevacs to float out your entire army right now.
If there could be a big stem forward, Epic just gets the most beautiful thing he can ask for right there. Gets a great position on the right-hand side. At the same time, the Marines on the left-hand side form a concave for Epic, and does he even have to push through this? I'm not sure if he has enough, but Intense is going to fall back. However, that was not Intense's majority of his army. He's got Marines in the top right and got Marines in the top left, which sniped the CC. Epic, if you look at the minimap in the bottom left, he's really just flying his CC in the bottom right, and that CC, hey, there's a Viking. That one Viking. That one Viking's done its job.
Gonna delay it. The medevac drop also dropping around over here. JJ gets caught.
JJ!
Intense moves on to the losers finals.
I love there's like a 10-second delay with the stream and the people watching, and now they're going to be like, no, the JJK, man.
It's okay, Dranok. We get the instant replay on this. That Viking. We get the instant replay on that Viking.
Well, he was a pretty important fella right there. I don't know if he selected all army, but there it is. Intense. We're 2-0. He won Ruins of Ceres. And then game 2, that was a good base trade.
That was a fun base trade. But here's the thing, Dranok, is you know what? You talked about this. There's a little bit of humbleness, I would say, with Intense saying, I'm not doing amazing and everything, but you know what? Intense, when he is, funnily enough, when he is not playing a lot and he feels confident in his play, and he's playing TVTs, that is where I expect to see the best out of Intense.
He's in the best place ever. He's excited. He's good. Guys, we will be right back in a few short seconds with the interview of the winner. I know he's been up here a couple times. That is Intense. We'll be right back after this. That's Fear Dragon. I'm Dranok, and see you in a few short seconds. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the winner's interview of the match we just saw. It was a best of 3 of Intense, and you won it 2-0 versus Epic. How you feeling about that?
I went a lot better than I thought. Like, one thing I realized about that series was that I had a lot more tournament experience than him. Two things went really well for me.
Put it a little bit closer.
It's pretty close now,
You're
right?
good,
You're
you're
good?
good.
I'm good? I'm good?
You gotta like have it right up kissing your face if you really want to get good sound with these.
So, two things went really well, actually. Like, the first thing is he didn't have a lot of tournament experience. So I knew I needed to do something aggressive to throw him off. I talked about this in the last interview. So the first game, I did a one-base build. It worked out perfectly, especially on a 4-player map that you can't scout on. He didn't scout me first, so he didn't see what I was doing, so it totally caught him off guard. So that pretty much sealed the deal. At the start, once I killed all those workers and stuff, I had a really good position. But then he thought I was going to play Standard Reaper every game, because I literally did that every game this entire tournament. Every TVT, I went 1 Rax Reaper expand every single game. I didn't do anything else. So he just expected that. He's like, oh, I see a Reaper, just 1 Reaper. It's the same thing as it always is.
Cool.
And then an all-in comes, kills all his workers, and I'm like, well, I guess I win the first game.
And that's something really interesting. When Fear Dragon and I were casting and kind of commenting on, we haven't played as much ladder. Maybe he'll be the more mechanically sound of like reading builds, whatever. But you're kind of laid back. You come in and like,
He definitely played a bit nervous.
I'll do this.
I won't deny it.
It is scary playing up on lands, and what's going to be scary for you is coming up next. You have to face Kelazur. He knocked you out earlier. Do you think you can take it? Intense? You got to give me your best answer here. Most excited, most amazing, most feeling good answer.
I had a good tournament run. It sucks that it's about to end, but I made it farther than I thought.
I
Third place.
think you can fight. I think you can fight for it, man. Kelazur's won some games, lost some games too. Actually, I think he's undefeated except for the games he lost. So.
Well, same with me, right? Undefeated except for the games I lost.
Let's throw that out there. Let's say even if you... Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. Let's say even if you beat him, even if you can beat Kelazur, then you have to face Huck in TVT. You've been marvelous at. In the way you haven't played as much recently. But in that, you just kind of shine in TVT. It's like, okay, well, I can fall back on that.
Yeah, TVT is a lot more... Like, I'd say there's a lot more strategy involved in positioning and things like that. And I have a lot of experience with that since I've been playing since, like, the start of Wings of Liberty. A lot of Marine Tank on a lot of Marine Tank. And it's been the same thing all along. And although tanks now fly, like, it's pretty similar.
Yeah, who would have felt like when pigs fly? When tanks fly, man, who would have thunk?
Literally, dude. I wouldn't have thought tanks would fly in
With
my
that,
startup
though,
career.
very strong TVT. If you got to face Huck, that's TVP, which I know as Fear Dragon was commenting on. You don't quite have as good of a grasp after you've been down for a little while. I haven't quite been playing as long. Or practicing as long.
So my TVP used to be good, but I can't pull SCVs anymore. So it's a new game. There's adepts now. The SCV pools aren't cutting it anymore. So
no choo-choo trains for you?
Yeah, I'm a bit stumped in that matchup, I'd say. So, I mean, even versus Desro, that was a really close series. And a lot of people expected that to be, like, you know, like pretty in favor of me. But, like, it was very close. I could have gone out to Desro earlier in the tournament today. That was, like, extremely close. My turn versus Protoss, like, even strategically, I don't really know where I'm at. I've kind of been out of the meta for a little while, so I'm just winging it all the games.
Even with that, though, you're knocked down to the losers, and you've made it all the way back. You have a chance at the $1,000 prize, and I believe in you, but we'll see. Up next, we have a TVT Kelazur versus Intense. We'll see you after this short break for that. And after that, we have the grand finals of Cheesadelphia 2 to see who will go home with $1,000.